Hello. Right. I know it's massive, it looks massive, but it really is worth it. If you've only got small digs, then you might have a problem storing it. But if you eat potatoes, a lot of potatoes or rice, I wouldn't recommend pasta with the lid on because it gets quite foamy and I don't think it would be safe to use this. But this is called a pressure cooker. Now, the pressure cooker dramatically cuts the time down for how long things take to cook. So if you've got potatoes like I have here, what you do, you put your potatoes in and then you fill it up with water to the minimum level. That's plenty. And then you put the lid on. This one is a tower pressure cooker. It hasn't got the massive long handle like they used to have 20 years ago. It's just one hand. Right. That's the basics. The lid. Now, there's a dial there. That first symbol there is a circle, and that one is like steam. So when you're cooking something, you want it to be on the full circle. There is a little a valve here. I'm just going to pop it up for you now to show you what should happen. Can you see that popped up? So when it's at pressure, that little red valve will pop up. So that is basically the pressure cooker in a nutshell. Now I'm going to show you now. I'm going to put it on full blast and just show you how it works. Right, so it's switched on. That's the dial. And you can see that's the vent. It's not very picking it up too well, but that is like a circle, like a full stop, a dot. I'm just going to put my mic. Hoping you could have heard that. You should have heard it anyway. Right, now the pressure valve has gone. The pressure valve's gone up. You see the red there, the red knobby bit. And it's going to start hissing in a minute. That probably took about 5 minutes to come to the boil, come to pressure. Now, potatoes take 8 minutes to cook in a pressure cooker. On the hob, it's about 20, so it cuts the time down dramatically. Now this is bubbling away inside. It's still on number 19, which is the highest on my hob. So it's bubbling away. I am going to start the timer now. Right, it's just starting to hiss. Can you hear that? It sounds quite alarming, but it's really not. And the only thing we have to do here is turn the temperature to half, which is what I'm going to do now. The reason I've let it do that is because a couple of times I've turned it down a little bit too soon and the pressure's dropped, so you have to go through it all again. So it's best if you leave it, you know, to have a bit of a spit and a bit of a hiss. Then you'll know it's up to temperature and it's stable, and then you can turn it down to half. Now, if you've got eagle eyes, you'll see that I set my timer, and I told you that it takes 8 minutes for potatoes to cook, which is, it does, but these are going to be for roast potatoes. So I cook them a little bit first, which is called parboiling. So if ever you hear that, parboiling, it just means cook them a bit. Cook them, you know, half. That's the way that you can use that information. Just cook it a bit. Parboil, cook it a bit. So I'm parboiling these, and I'll tell you why. Because roast potatoes are really delicious when they've got the edges battered, so that the edges are uneven, partly cooked, so they're partly soft on the outside but still hard inside. Now that's the timer on my hob. Right, so I've taken that off now. With the pressure cooker, I'm just going to open my cooker hood just a sec. With a pressure cooker, I will not be able to open that now. The reason I can't is because it's high pressure, and if I try to open it, it would explode, it would cause damage. Which is, well, you can see the noise it made when it was at pressure, when it was on full pressure. So the pressure needs to release. The pressure can be released two ways. You can let that knob go down by itself, or you can release the pressure using that valve, the black dial. So you can move that to the vent, which was like the steamy bit on the dial, which I'm going to show you now. I don't normally do it because I normally just wait for it to drop, but everybody's different and does things differently. So I am going to move this now. Which way is it? That way. So you must be careful, don't do it over the top of the vent because you will get a scald, it will scald you. And I'll show you why. If you do it over the top, if I did it that way, I would be scalded. You have to do it from the side, from the back. Now that red thing is going to drop down, and then you know it's safe to open it. There we go. Now I can open that safely. My potatoes are still bubbling away a bit. That's fine. So I'm going to put these in the colander now. That's a colander. You see how they're starting to break. Now you can't because of the steam. The edges. Now I'm breaking these up. That's what I'm doing. I'm bashing the surface of the potatoes. Just getting all steamed up, aren't you? Right. And can you see how the edges have gone like bitty? That's what we want. The reason we want them like that is because those broken bits on the outside, they will go crispy, and that's what we want in a roast potato. This is a little hack, a ketchup bottle. You don't have to buy one specifically for it. You can use an old bottle if you've got one, like an old tomato sauce bottle, that'll do just as well. Put a bit of oil in here. And these potatoes, put the oil on these, and it's a very good way to not use very much oil. I'm putting flour on these. Dry them out a bit more, which will increase the crispiness. Put a little bit more oil. Bit of salt. Spices. Any you like. Doesn't have to be this brand. There's all sorts of spices, seasoning out there. Just remember to keep bashing them about. So there's my potatoes. And the last thing. So now I'm going to put those in the air fryer later. So these can be left because you've thrown them about, you've done the edges, which is what's important. They take about, I'd say, depends how brown you like them, but we like them quite crispy, quite not burnt, but quite brown. So we do about 45 minutes, but in the air fryer you can do it for half an hour, whatever floats your boat. On 200, 180 if you don't like them too brown, but that's just for you to play with in your air fryer. But that is my directions for you to do roast potatoes to impress your friends. Okay, I've got my air fryer basket. I'm putting some greaseproof paper in the bottom just to prevent it sticking. Right, so I've got my roast potatoes here. That's the bottom of the basket. Right, there's my roast potatoes. I am going to put a little bit more oil on these. I'm going to put these in on 200 for half an hour and then see what we're left with after half an hour. Right, these roast potatoes have been on 200 in the air fryer for 30 minutes. So as you can see, they're done. They're looking pretty lush. So they're ideal for us. That is the slow cooked beef. There are another 3 pieces in there which have gone in from a leftover fillet steak that my son-in-law brought round, so we threw it all in. Let's take it out now. There's the beef. Yes. So, nearly falling to pieces. It's so tender. Now when you've got a slow cooked joint of meat, there's absolutely no point in trying to carve it because it is going to fall apart. So I'm just going to cut the string off. They may as well just be put straight on the plate, them other ones. Cut this string off. My dogs are here waiting for any droppages. Pip will start growling at me in a minute. Oh yeah. Okay. Go ahead and cut this.